All right. Welcome everyone. Today I'm just going to walk through like a brief example of kind of what to expect when you're working through the short answer questions on the exam. It'll be very similar to like different subsets of questions that you've seen on the quizzes, but now you'll be asked to sort of connect some of those pieces. And so instead of applying each concept like individually for one specific question, that'll be a very similar format on the multiple choice, but on the short answer section, I'll have you work to combine those concepts to like demonstrate that you have a better holistic understanding of all of the concepts together. This is a very good example of what to expect when you're working on these short answer questions here. So this is something that you can expect to see. You are given a fixed piece of information, so we have a specific country here, and the country has, we're given information regarding the country. And so we're given something with respect to their gross private investment, their government expenditure, their consumption, as well as their exports and imports. And so from that information, we can actually do quite a bit. So the first piece that I ask you to do, that you'll be expected to work through in this example, would be working through setting up your nominal GDP formula. So you have all of the variables up there. It's just a matter of sort of plug and play here and being able to correctly assign each variable. Following that, we need to interpret the relationship. We can already see here our nominal GDP will be the sum of our consumption plus our government expenditure plus our investment. Let me underline those. And then we have our exports minus our imports. We can already see like the second part of this question, what's the trade balance for this country? Make sure you assign your exports correctly and your imports. Just based on the information above, we can quickly identify that relationship between those two variables is going to be negative, and that will result in a trade deficit for this country. And so that's kind of the initial setup. You're working through a fixed piece of information and you're asked to apply some of these concepts. And so as we work through this, it'll be somewhat of like a concept review in combination with demonstrating like what to expect. And so we have our nominal GDP formula here. From that nominal GDP formula, we're able to isolate a piece of or two of those variables to identify the trade relationship for that country. This country is importing more relative to what they're exporting to other countries, and so as a result, they're running a trade deficit. Second piece, as we continue to work with the same information, we have in part B here. We have a nominal GDP of 2,100 in 2023, and we want to use 2023 as the base year and calculate real GDP for country Y in 2020 with a GDP deflator of 85. And so just from the information, like think about what we're asked here. Calculating real GDP in 2020, that means we need to take the nominal from what we get in part A. So we take the nominal from here, and we can start working through that. Our consumption is 800 plus our government expenditure, that's 1,400, plus our private investment. All of a sudden we get 1,800, and we end up with a negative 150 from there. And so for this question, we should end up calculating real GDP in 2020 is given by 1,650 over, and we're given our price deflator here, our price index divided by 100 to get our real GDP. And so as we work from this fixed set of information, we can start building on it and start addressing questions and start applying a number of our concepts. our first part here, we're asked to work through nominal GDP. Second part, we're asked to adjust and start accounting for inflation by integrating this price index. And then we're asked to further apply that rule here. What is country-wise real GDP in 2023? Well, we know that 2023 is the base year. So, when 2023 is the base year, we know that in the base year, the price index, or our GDP deflator, is going to be equal to 100. And so in the base year, your nominal is equal to the real GDP. And so our real GDP, we don't even need to really do any calculation. We're given nominal in the previous question. Our real GDP is 2100. And so this is an example. As we work through this, you can start to see like how we're connecting the various pieces throughout. You're starting to apply concepts like real GDP. You're making the connection between your nominal, real, and then using the concepts in terms of integrating some of these inflation variables to adjust for changes in the price level. Okay, so from here we can continue working with the same fixed set of information, and we'll kind of go back and forth, but let's use that real GDP that we calculated in part C and the real GDP that we calculated, this should be B and C, sorry. So the real GDP we calculated in part B right here, and the real GDP we calculate in part C to calculate the growth rate for this country. And so now we're asked to further expand our demonstration by integrating our growth rate formula, which is really simple. It's just our new minus the old over the old times 100. And so for our purposes, we get our real GDP in 2023 is equal to our nominal. And then as we adjust for part B, and I'm just rounding to the nearest whole number here, on the exam I'll specify times 100. Sorry, I didn't finish my calculation up here. Okay, and then from there we should further be able to integrate concepts like inflation as well. And so recognizing inflation from 2020 to 2023, we're given the GDP deflator in 2020, and remember the inflation rate is the same formula as our growth rate. The only difference is that it's our new index, it's our new index minus the old index over the old index times 100. And so we just look at our piece of information. We recognize that in the base year, that, or whatever we're setting as our base year, 2023, our price index is going to be equal to 100, and so that is our new index. And we're given in the question above that the price index, or the GDP deflator in 2020, is 85. And so working through the setup of our problem, we get 100 minus 85 over 85. And that will get you the inflation rate over that period. And so been able to work in quite a few concepts with real GDP, nominal GDP, our deficit, the growth rate, as well as the inflation rate. But this is what to expect as you're working through the short answer. We should be able to, work through each concept in isolation. So we should be able to calculate the inflation rate. We should be able to calculate the growth rate for any given question. But we should also be able to work with a fixed set of information and be able to apply these concepts throughout. Same thing when it comes to your concepts like unemployment. You should be able to work with a fixed set of information and be able to calculate the unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate as well. But I think that should be good. If you have any questions, reach out via email and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Or if you need to schedule time outside of like the regular office hours, then just shoot me an email and we can find some time to set that up. All right. Have a good one and good luck this week. Bye.